Hi, this is a video for guidelines on cutting foam core. Any carpenters and general contractors who are planning on cutting need to watch this video. So I'll make this quick, but first you are going to check that you are cutting on the pad. That means every bit of your cut. For example, I'm going to cut this line all the way down to here. I need to check that that whole line is on this pad. So I'm going to lift this up and check that yes indeed I'm above this cutting pad. These green cutting pads are real nice. They'll let you make good cuts nice and clean without cutting what's beneath, but you got to make sure that you're using them correctly. Next thing, you are going to measure twice. Once to draw lines on the foam cord, and you're going to do that as carefully as you can. I've done that already. But then you're going to measure once again right before you cut, because obviously if you make a cut, you can't take that back, you can't erase it. So you want to check that your cut is properly laid out. So for example here, I'm planning on making one of these walls of my house. This is my cut plan. I'm seeing that I need 20 centimeters on the side by 15 centimeters on the side. So I'm going to measure this to make sure that this side is actually 20 centimeters. And it looks like it's actually a little less than 20 centimeters. So I'm going to fix it. I'm going to make a little mark here. And I'm going to redo this. So I'll measure this side also. And this side looks like it was good. So it looks like whenever I drew this line, I didn't draw it exactly straight. So I'm going to draw that line again with a pencil. And the advantage of this is I know that this new line here, oops, you can see me draw that line, but I can see this new line here, not this old line, is the line that I want to cut with. I will measure this as well, and I'll see that that's nice and exact at 15 centimeters. So now that I've measured again, I'm going to cut again. You can see this foam core board has a little blemish here. It's got punched somehow. I'm using that just to show you how it's done, so we don't waste any useful foam core board. So you may have heard if you're cutting wood, you want to measure twice and cut once. When you're cutting foam core board, you want to measure twice and cut twice. I'll show you what I mean. You are not going to move the ruler. You're going to place the ruler exactly where you want to make the cut, and then you're going to cut twice, once and then a second time. The reason for this is you need to often cut through the top and the bottom. Often you'll easily cut through the top of the foam core, but you'll just kind of cut through the bottom. The foam core is made of two pieces of pretty thick paper. I don't know if I can show you this actually, but yeah, here we go. It's made of two pieces of thick paper on each side, and then the foam is in the middle. The foam is real easy to cut, but the paper can be a little bit challenging to cut all the way through because you're cutting two different pieces. So watch what I do here. I'm going to place the ruler, not to make a length measurement, but to get myself a straight edge. I'm going to check again that my entire cut is above the pad, and indeed it is. I'm going to line it up perfectly, and then watch this. This is my first cut. I'm basically using this like a ruler, like I was drawing a pencil line, but I'm pushing down with my finger as hard as I can, and I'm holding this X-Acto and cutting through with the tip of the X-Acto. And then I'm stopping there. Oops. Notice when I make a cut, I'm cutting with the tip of the X-Acto knife. That is, I'm holding the X-Acto, like if this was the sheet, I'm holding the X-Acto like this, and I'm pulling it this way. I'm not trying to do it like this. I'm holding it to cut with the tip. So I just did that once and I broke my own rule. Notice this says don't move the ruler. And the reason for that is, as I will show you right now, I only kind of cut. You can kind of see through this. I only kind of cut through the entire thing. On this side, I made a nice, beautiful cut, and I might think, oh, I'm done, but I didn't actually cut through the other side. The reason why it's so important to not move the ruler is because it's hard to place this exactly the way it was before. I'm going to do my best, but you'll see it's not going to turn out as nice as it might have. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and do this. and try the other one so I can show you exactly what I mean when I say do not move that ruler. I'm going to place that ruler here. I'm going to place it as close as I can to that new line that I drew, and I'm going to cut once all the way through, and then I'm just going to go back without moving the ruler. I'm going to cut a second time. And notice when I do this, I have done a really nice job cutting through both sides. This is a way cleaner cut than that other one was before. Oh, I still didn't even make it through the top. So I'm actually going to go back over this a third time. You may find that going over it 3 times is useful for you. So the last thing I'll mention is if you want to make a bend in the foam core, it's often useful to try to just cut through the top, kind of like I accidentally did here. And the reason for this is we can use the paper on this side as a kind of a hinge. A lot of people are thinking about maybe making a door, or maybe you want to like build the entire house so it's kind of like just folded like this. If you cut carefully, you can save yourself some taping and gluing by doing that in such a way that you only cut through one side of the foam core board. I'm going to go ahead and cut through this again just so I can get my piece that I want, because that's not actually what I'm doing here. But some of you will find that it's useful to actually, I'm just going to check to make sure that I'm actually on top of the thing here. Looks like I am. You'll find it's useful to, I'm going to go over the second time, and then I'm going to go over it a third time, just in case. And that piece looks pretty good to me. If you aren't interested in making bends, you can stop watching this video now, but I'll just show you for the sake of argument. I'm gonna go through and, even without drawing pencil line first, I'm just gonna cut through half of the foam core and half of the foam core. Notice I'm trying not to cut through the whole thing, I'm just cutting through the top. And that allows me to, even though I didn't cut through the whole thing, or because I didn't cut through the whole thing, I'm able to bend this around and make a kind of a tower. I didn't measure these carefully, so this tower doesn't look all that great, or maybe it's a hallway, I don't know. But this is often a really nice way to use the foam core board to make sturdy cuts, however you want to use them.